dam, where abundance of that fossil called by the naturalists cornuamenes is dug up. Footnote 178 Roberts, Cam. Pop Ant, 220. For our old friend the devil is once more to the fore when we encounter the inscribed stone of the 12th century, which stands in the churchyard of Llanarth, near Aberaeron, in Cardiganshire. A cross covers the stone, with 4 circular holes at the junction of the arms. The current tradition of the place regarding it is that one stormy night, there was such a tremendous noise heard in the belfry that the whole village was thrown into consternation. It was finally concluded that nobody but the dial could be the cause of this, and therefore the people fetched his reverence from the vicarage to go and request the intruder to depart. The vicar went up into the belfry, with bell, book, and candle, along the narrow winding stone staircase, and, as was anticipated, there among the bells he saw the devil in person. The good man began the usual conjurate in nomine, etc., when the fiend sprang up and mounted upon the leads of the tower. The vicar was not to be balked, however, and boldly followed up the remainder of the staircase and got also out upon the leads. The devil, finding himself hard pressed, had nothing for it but to jump over the battlements of the tower. He came down plump among the gravestones below, and falling upon one, made with his hands and knees the 4 holes now visible on the stone in question, which among the country people still bears the name of the Devil's Stone. V. The Logan stones in various parts of Wales, which vibrate mysteriously under the touch of a child's finger, and rock violently at a push from a man's stronger hand, are also considered by the superstitious a favorite resort of the fairies and the dial. The holy aerolite to which unnumbered multitudes bow down at Mecca is indeed no stranger thing than the rocking stone on Pontypryd's sky-perched common. Among the marvellous stones in Nennius is one concerning a certain altar in Loingarth, in Gower, suspended by the power of God, which he says a legend tells us was brought thither in a ship along with the dead body of some holy man who desired to be buried near St. Illty's grave, and to remain unknown by name, lest he should become an object of too reverent regard, for Illtyd dwelt in a cave there, the mouth of which faced the sea in those days, and having received this charge, he buried the corpse, and built a church over it, enclosing the wonderful altar, which testified by more than one astounding miracle the divine power which sustained it. This is thought to be a myth relating to some Welsh rocking stone no longer known. The temptation to throw down stones of this character has often been too much for the destruction-loving vulgarian, both in Wales and in other parts of the British Islands, but the offenders have seldom been the local peasantry, who believe that the guardians of the stone, the fairies or the dial, as the case may be, will heavily avenge its overthrow on the overthrowers. 6. The fairy frolic at the cromlech. Venerable in their hoary antiquity stand those monuments of a long-vanished humanity, the cromlechs, which are so numerous in Wales, sharing with the Logan and the inscribed stone the peasant's superstitious interest. Even more than the others, these solemn rocks are surrounded with legends of enchantment. They figure in many fairy tales like that of the shepherd of Frenifor, who stood watching their mad revelry about the old cromlech, where they were dancing, making music on the harp, and chasing their companions in hilarious sort. That the fairies protect the cromlechs with special care, as they also do the Logans and others, is a belief the Welsh peasant shares with the superstitious in many lands. There is a remarkable cromlech near the hamlet of St. Nicholas, Glamorganshire, on the estate of the family whose house has the honour of being haunted by the ghost of an admiral. This cromlech is called, by children in that neighbourhood, Castle Carreg. A Cardiff gentleman who asked some children who were playing round the cromlech, what they termed it, was struck by the name, which recalled to him the Breton fairies thus designated. 179. The Cords and Corrigs of Brittany closely resemble the Welsh fairies in numberless details. The Cords are supposed to live in the cromlechs, of which they are believed to have been the builders. They dance around them at night, and woe betide the unhappy peasant who joins them in their roundels. 180 Like beliefs attached to cromlechs in the Haute-Auvergne, and other parts of France. A cromlech at Pérolles, said to have been built by a fée, is composed of 7 massive stones, the largest being 12 feet long by 8.5 feet wide. The fée carried these stones hither from a great distance, and set them up, and the largest and heaviest one she carried on the top of her spindle, and so little was she incommoded by it that she continued to spin all the way. 181 Footnotes 179 Mr. J. W. Lookies, in an address before the Cardiff NATSOC in July, 1874. 180 Cately, Fairy Mythology, 432. 181 Cambrai, Monuments Celtics, 232. 7 Among the Welsh peasantry the cromlechs are called by a variety of names, one interesting group giving in Cardiganshire the stone of the bitch, in Glamorganshire the stone of the greyhound bitch, in Carmarthenshire and in Monmouthshire the kennel of the greyhound bitch, and in some other parts of Wales the stone of the wolf bitch. These names refer to no fact of modern experience, they are legendary. The Cambrian form of the story of Melusina is before us here, with differing details. The wolf bitch of the Welsh legend was a princess who for her sins was transformed to that shape, and thus long remained. Her name was Gastrami, and she had 2 cubs while a wolf bitch, with which she dwelt in a cave. After long suffering in this wretched guise, she and her cubs were restored to their human form for Arthur, who sought her out. The unfortunate Melusina, it will be remembered, was never entirely robbed of her human form. Ange par la figure, et serpent parle rest, she was condemned by the lovely Fée Presina to become a serpent from the waist downwards, on every Saturday, till she should meet a man who would marry her under certain specified conditions. The monkeyish touch is on the Welsh legend, in the medieval form in which we have it in the Mythology of Kilewch and Olwen. The princess is transformed into a wolf bitch for her sins, and when restored, although it is for Arthur, God did change her to a woman again. 182 Footnote 182 Mabinogion, 259. 8 In a field called Park Wybigran, near Llanboidy, Carmarthenshire, are the remains of a cromlech destroyed many years ago, concerning which an old man named John Jones related a superstitious tale. It was to the effect that there were 10 men engaged in the work of throwing it down, and that when they were touching the stone they became filled with awe, and moreover, as the stone was being drawn away by 6 horses the road was suddenly rent asunder in a supernatural manner. This is a frequent phenomenon supposed by the Welsh peasantry to accompany the attempt to move a cromlech. Another common catastrophe is the breaking down of the wagon not from the weight of the stone, but through the displeasure of its goblin guardians. Sometimes this awful labor is accompanied by fierce storms of hail and wind, or violent thunder and lightning, sometimes by mysterious noises, or swarms of bees which are supposed to be fairies in disguise. 9 A very great number of fanciful legends might be related in connection with stones of striking shape, or upon which there are peculiar marks and figures, but enough of this store of folklore has been given to serve present ends. If more were detailed, there would in all cases be found a family resemblance to the legends which have been presented, and which led us now into the enchanted country where Arthur reigns, now wandering among the monkeyish records of church and abbey, now to the company of the dwarfs and giants of fairyland. That the British Druids regarded many of these stones with idolatrous reverence, is most probable. Some of them, as the cromlechs and logans, they no doubt employed in their mystic rites, as being symbols of the dimly descried power they worshipped. Of their extreme antiquity there is no question. The rocking stones may be considered natural objects, though they were perhaps assisted to their remarkable poise by human hands. The cromlechs were originally sepulchral chambers, unquestionably, but they are so old that neither history nor tradition gives any aid in assigning the date of their erection. Opinions that they were once pulpits of sun worship, or druidic altars of sacrifice, are not unwarranted, perhaps, though necessarily conjectural. The evidence that the inscribed stones are simply funeral monuments, is extensive and conclusive. Originally erected in honor of some great chief or warrior, they were venerated by the people, and became shrines about which the latter gathered in a spirit of devotion. With the lapse of ages, the warrior was forgotten, even the language in which he was commemorated decayed, and the marks on the stones became to the peasantry meaningless hieroglyphics, to which was given a mysterious and awful significance, and so for unnumbered centuries the tombstone remained an object of superstitious fear and veneration. Chapter V. Baleful spirits of storm. The shower at the magic fountain. Obstacles in the way of treasure seekers. The Red Lady of Paviland. The fall of Coy Church Tower. Thunder and lightning evoked by digging the treasure chest under Moel Arthur in the Vale of Clwyd. Modern credulity. The Cavern of the Ravens. The eagle-guarded coffer of Castell Coch. Sleeping warriors as treasure guarders. The dragon which Saint Samson drove out of Wales. Dragons in the Mabinogi. And whence came the red dragon of Wales, the original dragon of mythology. Prototypes of the Welsh caverns and treasure hills. The goblins of electricity. In the prominent part played by storm torrents of rain, blinding lightning, deafening thunder in legends of disturbed cromlechs, and other awful stones, is involved the ancient belief that these elements were themselves baleful spirits, which could be evoked by certain acts. They were in the service of fiends and fairies, and came at their bidding to avenge the intrusion of venturesome mortals, daring to meddle with sacred things. This fascinating superstition is preserved in numberless Welsh legends relating to hidden treasures, buried under cromlechs or rocky mounds, or in caverns. In the Mabinogion it appears in the enchanted barrier to the castle of the Lady of the Fountain. Under a certain tall tree in the midst of a wide valley there was a fountain, and by the side of the fountain a marble slab, and on the marble slab a silver bowl, attached by a chain of silver, so that it may not be carried away. Take the bowl and throw a bowlful of water on the slab, says the black giant of the wood to Sir Kai, and thou wilt hear a mighty peal of thunder, so that thou wilt think that heaven and earth are trembling with its fury. With the thunder there will come a shower so severe that it will be scarce possible for thee to endure it and live. And the shower will be of hailstones, and after the shower the weather will become fair, but every leaf that was upon the tree will have been carried away by the shower. 183. Of course the knight dares this awful obstacle, throws the bowlful of water upon the slab, receives the terrible storm upon his shield, and fights the knight who owned the fountain, on his coming forth. Sir Kai is worsted, and returns home to Arthur's court, whereupon Sir Owen takes up the contest. He sallies forth, evokes the storm, encounters the Black Knight, slays him, and becomes master of all that was his castle, his lands, his wife, and all his treasures. The peasant of today who sets out in quest of hidden treasures evokes the avenging storm in like manner. Sometimes the treasure is in the ground, under a cromlech or a cairn, he digs, and the thunder shakes the air, the lightnings flash, torrents descend, and he is frustrated in his search. Again, the treasure is in a cavern, guarded by a dragon, which belches forth fire upon him and scorches his eyeballs. Welsh folklore is full of legends of this character, and the curious way in which science and religion sometimes get mixed up with these superstitions is most suggestive, as in the cases of the falling of Coy Church Tower, and the Red Lady of Paviland. The latter is the name given a skeleton found by Dr. Buckland in his exploration of the Paviland caves, the bones of which were stained by red oxide of iron. The vulgar belief is that the Red Lady was entombed in the cave by a storm while seeking treasure there, a legend the truth of which no one can dispute with authority, since the bones are certainly of a period contemporary with the Roman rule in this island. Coins of Constantine were found in the same earth, cemented with fragments of charcoal and bone ornaments. In the case of Khoi Church Tower, it undoubtedly fell because it was undermined by a contractor who had the job of removing certain defunct forefathers from their graves near its base. Some 1,800 skulls were taken from the ground and carted off to a hole on the east side of the church. But the country folk pooh-pooh the idea that the tower fell for any reason other than sheer indignation and horror at the disturbance of this hallowed ground by utilitarian pickaxe and spade. They call your attention to the fact that not only did the venerable tower come crashing down, after having stood for centuries erect, but that in falling it struck to the earth St. Crello's cross, an upright stone in the churchyard as venerable as itself, breaking it all to pieces. Footnote 183 Mabinogion, 8. To a hollow in the road near Sarah, in Cardigan's Hire, rings when any wheeled vehicle goes over it. Early in this century, two men having been led to believe that there were treasures hidden there, for a fairy in the semblance of a gypsy had appeared and thrown out hints on the fascinating subject from time to time, made up their minds to dig for it. They dug accordingly until they came, by their solemn statement, to the oaken frame of a subterranean doorway, and feeling sure now, that they had serious work before them, prepared for the same by going to dinner. They had no sooner gone than a terrible storm arose, the rain fell in torrents, the thunder pealed and the lightning flashed. When they went back to their work, the hole they had digged was closed up, and nothing would convince them that this was done by any other than a supernatural agency. Moreover, but a little above the place where they were, there had been no rain at all. 184 Footnote 184 Archcam. 3rd Se, 9, 306. 3. There is a current belief among the peasants about Moel Arthur, a mountain overlooking the Vale of Clwyd, that treasure, concealed in an iron chest with a ring handle to it, lies buried there. The place of concealment is often illuminated at night by a supernatural light. Several people thereabouts are known to have seen the light, and there are even men who will tell you that bold adventurers have so far succeeded as to grasp the handle of the iron chest, when an outburst of wild tempest wrested it from their hold and struck them senseless. Local tradition points out the place as the residence of an ancient prince, and as a spot charmed against the spade of the antiquary. "Whoever digs there," said an old woman in Welsh to some men going home from their work on this spot, after a drenching wet day, "is always driven away by thunder and lightning and storm. You have been served like everybody else who has made the attempt." For so prevalent are superstitions of this class even in the present day that cases get into the newspapers now and then. The Herald Cymraeg of September 25, 1874, gave an account of some excavations made at Pentweiser Cromlech, Anglesey, by the instigation of John Jones of Llandudno, a brother of Isaac Jones, the present tenant of Pentweiser, at the time on a visit to the latter. The immediately exciting cause of the digging was a dream in which the dreamer was told that there was a pot of treasure buried within the Cromlech's precincts. The result was the revelation of a large number of human bones, among them 5 lower jaws with the teeth sound, but no croken or pitcher of gold, turned up, and the digging was abandoned in disgust. Is it credible that between this account and the following yawns the gulf of 700 years? Thus Giraldus, in the province of Chemys, one of the 7 cantrefs of Pembrokeshire, during the reign of King Henry I, a rich man who had a residence on the northern side of the Preseleu Mountains was warned for 3 successive nights by dreams that if he put his hand under a stone which hung over the spring of a neighboring well called the Fountain of St. Bernacus, he should find there a golden chain. Obeying the admonition, on the 3rd day he received from a viper a deadly wound in his finger. But as it appears that many treasures have been discovered through dreams, it seems to me probable that some ought and some ought not to be believed. 185 Footnote 185 Sir R.C. Hors Geraldus, Iden Cam 2, 37. V. In a certain cavern in Glamorganshire, called the Ogaf Sigfrane, or Cavern of the Ravens, is said to be a chest of gold, watched over by two birds of gloomy plumage, in a darkness so profound that nothing can be seen but the fire of their sleepless eyes. To go there with the purpose of disturbing them is to bring on a heaving and rolling of the ground, accompanied by thunder and lightning. A swaggering drover from Brecknockshire, though warned by a dark woman that he had better not try it, sneered that a couple of ravens were a fine matter to be afraid of indeed, and ventured into the cavern, with a long rope about his waist, and a lantern in his hand. Some men who accompanied him, seeing that he was bent on this rash and dangerous emprise, held the coil of rope, and paid it out as he went further and further in. The result was prompt and simple. The sky cracked with loud bursts of thunder and flashes of lightning, and the drover roared with affright and rushed out of the dark cavern with his hair on end. No coaxing ever prevailed on him to reveal the terrible sights he had seen. When questioned he would only repeat in Welsh the advice of Punch to those about to marry, viz., Piedich. 6. In the legend of Castell Coch, instead of a raven it is a pair of huge eagles which watch the treasure. Castell Coch is an easy and pleasant 2 hours' walk from Cardiff Castle, with which it is vulgarly believed to be connected by a subterranean passage. A short time ago, well, to be precise, 100 years ago, but that is no time at all in the history of Castell Coch, which was a crumbling ruin then as it is now 186 in or about the year 1780, a reduced lady was allowed to fit up 3 or 4 rooms in the ruin as a residence, and to live there with 2 old servants of her house. One night this lady was awakened from her sleep to receive the visit of a venerable ghost in a full dress suit of an earlier century, who distressed her by his troubled countenance and vexed her by his eccentric behavior, for when she spoke to him from the depths of her nightcap he at once got through the wall. He came on subsequent nights so often, and frightened the servants so much by the noise he made in getting through the wall, of course that the lady gave up her strange abode, and was glad to pay house rent ever after in other parts. This old ghost was in the flesh proprietor of the castle, it appears, and during the civil wars buried an iron chest full of gold in the subterranean passage which is still there, guarded by 2 large eagles. A party of gentlemen who somewhere about 1800 attempted to explore the passage saw the eagles, and were attacked by the birds of freedom so fiercely that they retreated in disorder. Subsequently they returned with pistols and shot the eagles, which resented this trifling impertinence by tearing the treasure seekers in a shocking manner. After having recovered from their wounds, the determined Welshmen renewed the attack, this time with silver bullets, which they had got blessed by a good-natured priest. The bullets rattled harmlessly on the feathers of the terrible birds, the ground shook underfoot, rain descended in torrents, with their great wings the eagles beat out the gold hunters' torches, and they barely escaped with their lives. Footnote: 186. It is at present being entirely restored and made habitable by its owner, Lord Bude. 7. The shadowy horror which keeps vigil over these hidden treasures is now a dragon, again a raven or an eagle, again a worm. In the account of the treasure seeker of Nanty Glen, it is a winged creature of unknown nature, a mysterious incubus, which broods over the chest in the cave. The terrible crocodile of the lake, which was drawn from its watery hiding place by the Acane Banog, or prominent oxen of Hugadarn, is also sometimes called a dragon, drag, in those local accounts which survive in the folklore of several different districts. It infested the region round about the lake where it lay concealed, and the mighty oxen so strained themselves in the labor of drawing it forth that one of them died and the other rent the mountain in twain with his bellowing. Various legends of sleeping warriors appear in Welsh folklore, in which the dragon is displaced by a shadowy army of slumbering heroes, lying about in a circle, with their swords and shields by their sides, guarding great heaps of gold and silver. Now they are Owen Logok and his men, who lie in their enchanted sleep in a cavern on the northern side of Mynydd Mar, in Carmarthenshire. Again they are Arthur and his warriors, asleep in a secret ogive under Craig Widenas, waiting for a day when the Briton and the Saxon shall go to war, when the noise of the struggle will awaken them, and they will reconquer the island, reduce London to dust, and re-establish their king at Caerleon, in Monmouthshire. Dragon or demon, raven or serpent, eagle or sleeping warriors, the guardian of the underground vaults in Wales where treasures lie is a personification of the baleful influences which reside in caverns, graves, and subterraneous regions generally. It is something more than this, when traced back to its source in the primeval mythology, the dragon which watched the golden apples of Hesperides, and the Paish the Moor, or great worm, which in Ireland guards the riches of O'Rourke, is the same malarious creature which Saint Samson drove out of Wales. According to the monkeyish legend, this pestiferous beast was of vast size, and by its deadly breath had destroyed 2 districts. It lay hid in a cave, near the river. Thither went Street Samson, accompanied only by a boy, and tied a linen girdle about the creature's neck, and drew it out and threw it headlong from a certain high eminence into the sea. 187 This dreadful dragon became mild and gentle when addressed by the saint, did not lift up its terrible wings, nor gnash its teeth, nor put out its tongue to emit its fiery breath, but suffered itself to be led to the sea and hurled therein. 188 In the Mabinogion, the dragon which fights in Lud's dominion is mentioned as a plague, whose shriek sounded on every May Eve over every hearth in Britain, and it went through people's hearts, and so scared them, that the men lost their hue and their strength, and the women their children, and the young men and maidens lost their senses. 189 Whence came the red dragon of Cadwaladr? Asks the learned Thomas Stevens. 190 Why was the Welsh dragon in the fables of Merlin, Nennius, and Geoffrey, described as red, while the Saxon dragon was white? The question may remain long unanswered, for the reason that there is no answer outside the domain of fancy, and therefore no reason which could in our day be accepted as reasonable. 191 The Welsh word dragon means equally a dragon and a leader in war. Red was the most honourable colour of military garments among the British in Arthur's day, and Arthur wore a dragon on his helmet, according to tradition. His haughty helmet, horrid all with gold, both glorious brightness and great terror bred, for all the crested dragon did enfold with greedy paws. 192 But the original dragon was an embodiment of mythological ideas as old as mankind, and older than any written record. The mysterious beast of the boy Taliesin's song, in the marvelous legend of Gwaun Bach, is a dragon worthy to be classed with the gigantic conceptions of the primeval imagination, which sought by these prodigious figures to explain all the phenomena of nature. A noxious creature from the rampart of Satanas, sings Taliesin, with jaws as wide as mountains, in the hair of its 2 paws there is the load of 900 wagons, and in the nape of its neck 3 springs arise, through which sea-roughs swim. 193 Footnotes, 187 Liber Landavenses, 301. 188 Ibid, 347. 189 Mabinogion, 461. 190 Literature of the Kymry, 25. 191 Mr. Conway, in his erudite chapter on the basilisk, appears to think that the red color of the Welsh dragon, in the legend of Merlin and Vortigern, determines its moral character, that it illustrates the evil principle in the struggle between right and wrong, or light and darkness, as black does in the Persian legends of fighting serpents, demonology and devil lore, p. 369. London, Chatto and Windus, 1879. 192 Spencer, Fairy Queen. 193 Mabinogion, 484. 8. For the prototype of the dragon-haunted caves and treasure hills of Wales, we must look to the lightning caverns of old Aryan fable, into which no man might gaze and live, and which were in fact the attempted explanation of thunderstorms, when the clouds appeared torn asunder by the lightning. Scholars have noted the impressive fact that the ancient Aryan people had the same name for cloud and mountain. In the Old Norse, klukr means both cloud and rock, and indeed the English word cloud has been identified with the Anglo-Saxon clod, rock. 194. Equally significant here is the fact that in the Welsh language drag means both lightning and dragon. Primeval man, ignorant that the cloud was in any way different in structure from the solid mountains whose peaks it emulated in appearance, started back aghast and trembling when with crashing thunders the celestial rocks opened, displaying for an instant the glowing cavern whose splendor haunted his dreams. From this phenomenon, whose goblins modern science has tamed and taught to run errands along a wire, came a host of glittering legends: the shining hammer of Thor, the lightning spear of Odin, the enchanted arrow of Prince Ahmed, and the forked trident of Poseidon, as well as the fire-darting dragons of our modern folklore. Footnote: 194. Max Muller, Rig Veda, I-44. And see Mr. Baring Gould's Curious Myths of the Middle Ages, etc. Index A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W Y A Aberdovi, The Bells of, 339, 344 Adarin Wycorf, the, 212 All Fools' Day, 274 All Hallows, 280 Alluring Stone, the, 367 American Ghost Stories, 139, 185 Angels, Apparitions of, 208 Animals Terrors at Goblins, 171 Anwen, The World of Shadows, 7, 34 Antic Spirits, 180 Aphrodite, The Welsh, 350 Apple Gift, the, 253 Aryan Wyra, 333 Arthur, The Mythic and the Historic, 7. Arthur's Dog, 363 Pot, 369 Quoits, 370 Round Table, 369 Seat, Bed, Castle, Stone, etc., 369 Ascension Day, Curious Superstition concerning, 25 Aura, the Human, its perception by dogs, 172 Avijdu, 219 Avalon, 8b Ball playing in churchyards, 272 Bangu, the, 340 Banshee, the, 212 in America, 247 Banwan Britain, the Stone of, 374 Barnwell, Reverend E.L., cited, 324 Baronsgate, Legend of the, 127 Berry Island Mysterious Noises on, 353 Basilisks in Mines, 27 Beer Drinking at Funerals. 322 Bells, Superstitions concerning, 339 of Aberdovi, 339, 344 Saint Cadoc, 339 Raider, Legend of the, 341 Saint Iltyd, 342 Saint Udo Sirs, 343 Beltane Fires, 278 Bendith y Mamau, 12 Betty Griffith and the Fairies, 115 Birds of Rhiannon, the, 91 Blabbing, Penalty of, 119 Black Book of Carmarthen, the, 350 Maiden of Caerleon, the, 219 Man of Finan Year Yspryd, 178 Men in the Mabinogion, 178 Blue Petticoat, Old Elves of the, 132 Bogey, the, 32 Boxing Day, 295 Branwen. daughter of Llyr, 91 bread and cheese in fairy mythology, 44 brownie, the 186 bundling, or courting Abed, 300 buns, 267 burial customs, 321 bush of heaven, legend of the 73 Butte, the Marquis of, cited, 136 Bubak, the 30 and the preacher, the 30 C. Cadogan's ghost, 149 Cadwallader's goat, the legend of 54 Cae Kald, the dwarfs of 28 Cae Mar, the mowing of 61 Sarah, the woman of 239 Caerphilly, the green lady of 132 Callan Ebril, 274 CanwytylwYth Teg, the 99 Canistone, 362. Canrig Bwt, the legend of 368 Canwyll Corf, the 238 Caradoc the Bloody, 348 Caradwin's Cauldron, 88 Carols, 288 Carrying the Kings, 276 Synog, 279 Mortals Through the Air, 157, 163 Castel Cock, the Eagles of 390 Carreg, 380 Catringwin, the legend of 144 Cadi Shan, the Witch of Pencader, 77 Cavern of Ravens, the 389 Cephilprin, the 319 Chained Spirit, the 168 Chaining at Weddings, 313 Changelings, 56 Cheese in Welsh Fairy Tales, 44 Christmas Observances, 286 Classification of Fairies, 11 Ghosts, 141 Customs, 252 Cobley Now, 24 Cock Crow, Fairy Dislike of 112 A Death Omen When Untimely, 213 Collier's Star, the 294 Color in Fairy Costume, 131 Compacts with the Dial, 202 Conway, Mr. Cited, 393 Cools Trin, the 317 Corpse, and Insulted, 146 Bird, the 212 Candle, the 238 Courting Abed, 300 Courtship and Marriage, 298 Craig Widenas, A Fairy Haunt, 6 Criminals' Graves, Superstitions Concerning, 331 Crocodile of the Lake, the 392 Cromlex, Superstitions Concerning, 379 Legendary Names of 381 Crossroads, Stones at 368 Crown of Porcelain, the 269 Crumlin Lake Legend of 35 Curiosity Tales, 86 Cursing Wells, 355 Customs, Superstitious and Traditional, 250 Cuddy Wren, the 257 C.W. Emlyn, The Shepherds of 121 C.W.M. Puka, Breckenshire, 20 C.W.N. Anwen, 233 C.W.N. YWYBR, 233 Sihireth, the 219 of St. Mellons, the 221 The Seacoast, the 221 D Dancing Stones of Stackpool, the 375 Dancing in Churchyards, 273 With Fairies, 70 Death Portents, 212 Devil, when invented, 210 as a familiar spirit, 197 exorcising the 199 in his customary form, 202 measured for a suit of clothes, 202 his stupidity, 202 as a bridge builder, 206 at Tintern Abbey, 207 and the Foul Pipe, a legend, 204 Devil's Bridge, Legends of the 205 Nags, the 170 Pulpit, the 207 Stone at Lonarth, the 378 Dewey Dell and the Fairies, 61 Didactic Purpose in Welsh Fairy Tales, 44 Spirits, 145 Dissenters, Fairy Antipathy 2, 6 Divination, 302 Dog of Darkness, the 168 Dogs of the Fairies, 234 Hell, 233 The Sky, 233 Fetishistic Notions of, 172 Ghosts of, 167 Drusi, 47 Dragons, 391 Dreams of Flying, 164 Druidic Fires, 278 Druids, Fairies Hiding, 129 Dufferin House, The Ghost of, 143 Duty-Compelled Ghosts, 146 Dwarfs, 27 Dwynwen, The Welsh Venus, 299, 350 Deft, The Ancient, 5e. Early inscribed stones, superstitions concerning, 373 Easter customs, 269 Eggshell pottage, story of the 60 Eisteddfod, 293 Ethan hedges, a protection against fairies, 115 Elf Queen, the 14 Elfin Dames, 34 Cow, the 36 Illiduras, the tale of 65 Elildan, the 18 Elilin, 12 Elves, 13 Enchanted Harp, the 94 Epimenides, 89 Equestrian Fairies, 107 Ghosts, 174 Eumenides, 12 Euphemisms, 12, 114, 209 Excalibur, 53 Exorcism of Changelings, 57 Devils, 199 Fairies, 112, 116 Ghosts, 165 Child-Stealing Elves, 62 Expanding Stone, the 365 Fair Folk, 12 Fairies, existing belief in, 2 King of the, 6 Welsh names of, 12 at Market, 9 of the Mines, 24 of the Lakes, 34 of the Mountains, 49 Dancing with, 70 of Frenifor, Legend of the, 82 on Horseback, 107 The Red, 127 Hiding Druids, 129 Why in Wales, 132 Their Origin, 127 Bad Spirits, 134 On Familiar Terms with Ghosts, 157 of the Cromlechs, 380 Fairyland 5 Queen, 14 Islands, 8. 45 Food, 13 Gloves, 13 Coal Mining, 27 Father, the 45a, Captured by a Welsh Woman, 78 Song, 99 Rings, 103 Conversations, 106 Battle, a, 107 Animals, 108 Sheepfold, the 109 Gifts, 119 Tales, Debris of Ancient Mythology, 135 Falling of Coy Church Tower, 386 Familiar Spirits, 187 in female form, 191 Family Ghosts, 142 Fatal Draft, the 83 Fetches, 215 Fetishism, 338 Fetishistic Notions of Lower Animals, 171 Farewell Ned Pugh, 99 Finan Year Yspryd, 178 Finan Canna. 362 Fiend Master, Legend of the 86 Fire Damp Goblins, 27 Fires, Mysterious, 213 First Foot on New Year's Day, 254 First Night of Winter, 280 Flowering Sunday, 266 Food at funerals, 322 Forest of the Yew, Legend of the 73 Foul Pipe, Story of the 204 Fountain of Venus, the 350 Fountains Flowing with Milk, 356 4th of July, 278 Frenifor, The Fairies of 82 Friday, Its Bad Reputation, 268 Frugal Meal, Legend of the 58 Funeral Customs, 321 The Goblin, 231 Future Life, The Question of a 247 Fuch Jai Fi Iliorn, the 36G Gallery Under the Sea, 10 Gast Rami, The Legend of 381 Ghosts, Existing Belief in 137 in America, 139 Classification of 141 With a Duty to Perform, 146 of Ebba Vale, 142 On Horseback, 154, 174 Exorcising, 165 of Animals, 167 Grotesque, 174 Gigantic, 176 Their Origin, 247 of Bells, 339 Stories of the Weaver's Ghost, 147 Cadogan's Ghost, 149 The Ghost of Estragenle, 157 The Admiral's Ghost, 143 The Miser's Ghost, 152 The Ghost of Saint Donuts, 143 The Pont Kunkabak Ghost, 144 The Ghost of No, 147 Anduis Ghost, 153 The Clifford Castle Ghost, 155 The Ghost of Tien Waitawa, 155 The Ghost of the Silver Spurs, 156 The Tridal Valley Sprite, 181 The MYNYDDYSLWYN Sprite, 187 Giants, 370 Giants Dance, the 371 Gigantic Ghosts, 176 Geraldus Cambrensis, 65 Gitto Bach, The Legend of 119 Gnomes, 24 Goats, Strange Beliefs Concerning 53 Gobelin, The French, 32 Goblin Animals, 167 Funerals, 231 God's Name as an Exorcism, 112. In the Bardic Traditions, 209 Good Friday Customs, 266 Good Old Times, the 252 Grassless Grave, Legend of the 331 Green Lady of Caerphilly, the 132 Meadows of the Sea, 8 Groaning Spirits, 222 Grotesque Ghosts, 174 Guest, Lady Charlotte, 5 Guy Fawkes Day Customs, 284 Guahadra, the 307 Gwenfrui, Legend of 347 Gwerdonalion, 8 Gwayan Bach, Taliesin, 88, 394 Greg Y. Ribin, the 216 Grijd Anwun, the 34 Greg of the Golden Boat, the 41 Gwydion, the Wizard Monarch, 5 Gwilgi, the 168 Gwillion, 49 Gwyn ap Nud, 6, 372 H. Hafadlwydog, Legend of 124 Hallow-en Customs, 280 Hares, Mythological Details, 162 Harp Music among Welsh Fairies, 94 Haunted Bridge, the 144 Castles and Houses, 143 Margaret, 165 Headless Horse, the 216 Hecate, 49 Hermes, 236 Hidden Treasures and Perturbed Ghosts, 151 Dragon Guarded, 386 Hobgoblin, 32 Holy Thursday, Superstition Concerning 25, 268 horse weddings, 310 hot cross buns, 267 household fairy, the 31 Howelda, 298 I. Iago ap Dewey's 7 years absence, 88 Antuluellen and the fairies, 123 Idris the giant, 370 Incubus, 193 inscribed stones, superstitious dread of, 373 Ilo Apu, the legend of, 99 islands, the enchanted, 8 J Jack Malantern, 18 Janet Francis and the fairy child stealers, 62 John the Red Nose, 258 Jones, the prophet, 104 Juan White, the spirit of, 50 Knife, exorcism by the, 52 knockers in mines, 24 kobolds, 29 L Lady of the Fountain, 178, 385 Wood, legend of the, 193 Lake. Fairies, 34 Lang, A, cited, 197 Language of the Fairies, 106 Lapse of Time under Enchantment, 89 Laws of the Welsh Spirit World, 148 Leek, Wearing of the, 260 Lenten Customs, 266 Levitation of Mortals, 157, 163 Levy-do, 255 Lies, the Tump of, 273 Lifting at Easter, 269 Lightning Caverns, 394 Linen, its ancient value, 133 Listening at the Church Door, 214 Lisworney Crossways, the legend of, 169 Living with Fairies, 65 Landaf Grake y Ribin, the, 217 Lechley Farstone, 364 Ledrith, the, 215. LLWYD the Magician, 159, 190 LLWYNY Nef, the Bush of Heaven, 72 LLYN Barfog, the Fairy Maiden of, 36 YD Workin, the Lady of, 44 Y Fan Fok, the Sirens of, 38 Glass, the Shepherd of, 124 Y Morwinian, the Maiden's Lake, 47 Logan Stones, Superstitions concerning, 378 Lord and Beggar, Legend of the, 230 Love Charms, 302 Lucky Days, 268 Lookies, JW, cited, 380 Luther and the Changeling, 57 M. Mab, 14 Mabinogion, the, 14, 91 Magic Carpet, 164 Harp, 95 Maiden's Lake, the, 47 Maids. Trick, the, 302 Making Christ's Bed, 267 Malt YNOS, the, 215 Margate Year YSPRYD, 165 Mari LWYD, the, 256 Marketing on Tombstones, 280 Marriage Customs, 306 Mayday Customs, 274 Medigan Midfi, Legend of the, 38 Melirius, the Legend of, 192 Melusina, the Welsh, 381 Memorials of Arthur, 369 Men of Argidwsi, the Legend of the, 47 Merlin the Enchanter, as a stone remover, 371 and the Red Dragon, 393 an early myth, 8. Mermaids, 35, 47 Merthyr, the rector of, cited, 3 Methodists, banishers of fairies, 6 Mid-Lent Sunday, 266 Midsummer Eve, 277 Milford Haven the fairies at, 9 Milk from Fountains, 356 Milk White Milch Cow, Legend of the, 37 Mine Goblins, 24 Miner's Wraith, the, 215 Mirage, 173 Moel Arthur, the treasure chest of, 388 Moel Frahil the women of, 376 Moel Walbeck the giantess, 370 Monticella's lambs, 162 Money thrown in wells 354 Morgan, born of the sea, 47 Morgana, 7 Mothering Sunday, 266 Mountain Ash, the 3 rods of, 210 The old woman of the, 49 Morning in Lent, 266 Music in Welsh fairy tales, 91, 98 Myfyr Morgan 277 Mystic Wells 345 N Nadolig, 286 Names of Welsh fairies, 12 Nant Year Elilin, 79 Narberth in Mythic Story, 198, 234 New Year's Day Customs, 252 Night Fiend, the 215 Nights for Spirits, the 3, 280 NIS, the 186 Noises, Mysterious, on Berry Island, 353 North Wales, Fairyland Inn, 5 NOS Callan Gough, 280 Oaks, Superstitions concerning, 105 Odin's Spear, 395. Offruam, the 332 Old Woman of the Mountain, 49 Torrent, 216 Origins of Fairies, 127 The Devil, 210 Death Omens, 245 Customs, 251 Spirits, 247 Mystic Well Superstitions, 359 Superstitions regarding stones, 383 Dragons, 395 Owen Logok and his enchanted men, 392 Owls Screech a Death Omen, 213 P Palm Sunday Customs, 266 Pant Chanjenkin, The Legend of, 75 Pant Wymatic, The Gwilgi of, 170 Pant Wysair, The Treasure Hunter of, 389 Park Wybigran, The Cromlech of, 382 Parsons Penny, 332 Pebble Tossers, Gigantic, 370 Pembrokeshire A Land of Mystery, 10 Parader, The Legend of, 202, 366 Phantom Horsemen, the 174 Ships and Islands, 173 Pygmies, 24 Pins in Enchantment, 354 Place of Strife, The Legend of the 59 Plant and 34 Planting Weeds on Graves, 298 Flowers on Graves, 299, 336 Plenton Nuid, the 56 Pligan, the 294 Poetico-Religious Theory of Fairies Origin, 134 Polly Williams and the Fairies, 81 Polyphemus, The Welsh, 179, 202 Pontypridd. Druidic Ceremonies at, 277 Preacher and Bubak, the 30 Prolific Woman, Legend of the 133 Pronunciation of Welsh Words, Preface Propitiation of Goblins, 12, 114 Psyche, 86 Puck, The Welsh, 20 Puzzling Jug, the 283 Puka Rtrwyn, account of, 187 Chastises a Servant Girl, 22 Travels in a Jug, 118 A Proscribed Noble, 128 Was it a Fairy, 190 Pwyll, Prince of Deft, 234 Quetzales Quintain, the 284, 313 Quoits, Arthurs, 370 are Ravens, Cave of the 389 Realistic Theory of Fairies Origin, 129 Red Book of Hergest, Llyfr Cock, 5 Fairies, the 127 Lady of Paviland, the 386 Ram and Ta, 302 Ridagor, the Giant, 372 Rhys and Llewellyn, the story of 70 Rice at Weddings, 314 Richard the Tailor, 160 Rip Van Winkle, the original of 89 Robber's Stone, the 376 Rocking Stone, superstitions concerning 378 Roly Pew and the Elil, 15 Sabbath breakers turned to stone, 376 Sacred Wells, 345 Sagranus Stone, the 375 Sailors Superstitions, 9 St. Baruch's Well, 352 St. Zena, the Legend of 377 St. Clement's Day, 284 St. Colin, the Legend of 7 Saints in Fran's Well, 351 Saints in Hofal's Well, 351 St. David the Introducer of Death Portents into Wales, 245 His Day, 259 His legendary character, 260 St. Dogmel's Parish, 69, 273 St. Dwinwen's Well, 350 St. Elian's Well, 355 St. George's Well, 351 St. Gwenfrewi, the Legend of 347 St. Gwynwy's Well, 353 St. Ildeed's Well, 357 St. John's Eve, 277 St. Mary's Well, 346 St. Melangel's Lambs, 162 St. Patrick and the Elfin Dames. 35 A Welshman, 264 His Day, 264 St. Samson and the Dragon, 392 St. Tegla's Well, 329, 349 St. Tydeca's Blue Stone, 367 St. Ulrich's Day, 279 St. Valentine's Day, 259 St. Winifred's Well, 346 Salt at Funerals, 328 Sanford's Well, 358 Scapegoat, the 329 Science, the Marvels of 248 Seeing the Sun Dance, 273 Serpents Turned to Stones, 377 Seven Whistlers, the 213 Skilty Iskandred, the Lightfoot, 164 Shakespeare, his use of Welsh folklore, 1444 His visit to Wales, 20 Shepherds of CWM. Lyn, the Legends of the 121 Shoe Throwing, 314 Sean A. Shenkin, the story of 92 Showman's Superstitions, 255 Shrove Tuesday, 265 Shwaries and the Fairies, 67 Sin Eater, the 324 Zion Center the Magician, 203 Skulls, 145 Sleeping Saints, the 73 Heroes, Legends of 162, 392 Snakestone, the 278 Soul, Its Future Destiny, 249 Souls of Dogs, 167 Sowling, 258 Spade Money, 333 Spectral Animals, 167 Spirit Fountain, the 178 Life, The Question of a 249 Nights, the 280 World, Laws Governing the Welsh, 148 Spirits Antics, 180 Spiritual Hunting Dogs, 235 Spiritualism, 139 Spitting at the Name of the Devil, 209 Stanley, Honorable W.O., cited, 19, 115 Stone Throwing Spirits, 180, 185 Stone Tossing Giants, 370 Stone Worship, 361 Stone of Invisibility, the 365 Remembrance, the 366 Golden Gifts, the 366 Stones, Curious Superstitions Concerning, 361 At Crossroads, 368 Of Healing, 367 Storms, Baleful Spirits of, 385 Stripping the Carpenter, 284 Suicides. Superstitions Concerning, 146, 331 Sulcafa, 335 Summoning Spirits, 199 Supernatural. What is the 248 Superstition, its degree of prevalence, 138, 251 in the United States, 139, 252 Sweetheart's Charms, 302 T. Taffswell, 358 Taffy ap Zion, The Shoemaker's Son, Legend of, 75 Taylor Magician of Glanbran, the 200 Taliesin, The Tale of, 88 His Dragon, 394 Talking Stone, the 364 Tanwed, the 213 Teetotalers, Fairy Antipathy 2, 6 Tir Nos Spridnos, 280 Terrors of the Brute, Creation at Apparitions, 171 Tulu, the 231 Thief Catching Stone, the 366 Thigh Stone, the 363 Thomas, Reverend Dr. Cited, 300 Thor's Hammer, 395 Three Blows, The Story of the 40 Losses by Disappearance, the 9 Nights for Spirits, the 280 Throwing at Cocks, 265 Thunder and Lightning as a Death Omen, 213 Toads and Warts, 352 Tolaeth, the 225 Tolling the Bell, 340 Tooling, 258 Toriad Ydyd, 125 Transformation of Human Beings to Animals, 167, 381 Stone, 374, 376 Transportation through the air, 157, 163 Trikrug, the Giant of, 371 Tricking the Dial, 203 Tridal Valley Ghost, the 181 Tudger of Llangollen, The Story of, 79 Tump of Lies, the 273 Twelfth Night Customs, 256 Tylwyth Teg, the 12U Unknowable, the 138 Unlucky Days, 268 Vale of Neath, the Its Goblin Fame, 6 Vavasar Powell and the Devil, 198 Vale, The Goblin, 232 Venus, The Welsh, 299 Herwell, 350 Villemark Cited, 58 W Walking Barefoot to Church, 266 Walking Stones, 363 Warts, 351, 367 Water Maidens, 47. Worship, 359 Wedding Customs, 306 Wells, Mystic, 345 Wesley's Belief in Apparitions, 141 Whistlers, the 213 Whistling Goblin, the 178 White as a Fairy Color, 132 Caddy of the Grove Cave, 144 Whitening Doorsteps to Keep Off the Devil, 207 Wife of Supernatural Race, 38 Wild Huntsman, 235 Will-o-Wisp, 20 Witches Sleeping Under Stones, 368 Wonderstone of Banwan Britain, the 374 Wraiths, 215 Wyakane Banog, the 108, 392 Yellow Spot Before Death, the 216 London, printed by William Clouse and Sons, Stamford Street and Charing Cross. A catalogue of American and foreign books published or imported by Messrs. Sampson Low & Co. can be had on application. Crown Buildings, 188, Fleet Street, London, April, 1879. A list of books published by Sampson Low, Marston, Searle, and Rivington. Alphabetical list. A classified educational catalogue of works published in Great Britain. De My 8vo, Cloth Extra. Second edition, revised and corrected to Christmas, 1877, Fives. Abney, Captain W. de W., R.E., F.R.S. Thebes, and its 5 greater temples. 40 large permanent photographs, with descriptive letterpress. Superroyal 42, Cloth Extra, 63s. About Some Fellows. By an Eton boy, author of A Day of My Life. Cloth Limp, Square 16 mo, 2s. 60 Adventures of Captain Mago. A Phoenician's Explorations 1000 Years BC. By Leon K. Un. Numerous illustrations. Crown 8vo, Cloth Extra, Gilt, 7s. 60 Adventures of a Young Naturalist. By Lucien Bayard, with 117 beautiful illustrations on wood. Edited and adapted by Parker Gilmore. Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, Gilt Edges, New Edition, 7s. 60 Adventures in New Guinea. The narrative of the captivity of a French sailor for 9 years among the savages in the interior. Small Post 8vo, with illustrations and map, cloth, gilt, SIXS. Afghanistan and the Afghans. Being a brief review of the history of the country, and account of its people. By H. W. Bellew, CSI Crown 8vo, Cloth Extra, SIXS. Alcott, Louisa M. Aunt Joe's Scrap Bag. Square 16 mo, 2s. 60, Rose Library, 1s. Cupid and Chow Chow. Small Post 8vo, 3s. 60 Little Men, Life at Plumfield with Joe's Boys. Small Post 8vo, Cloth, Gilt Edges, 3s. 60, Rose Library, Double Volume 2s. Little Women. 1 volume, Cloth, Gilt Edges, 3s. 60, Rose Library, 2 volumes, 1s each. Old Fashioned Girl. Best Edition, Small Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, Gilt Edges, 3s. 60, Rose Library, 2s. Work and Beginning Again. A Story of Experience. 1 volume, Small Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, SIXS. Several illustrations. Rose Library, 2 volumes, 1s each. Shawl Straps. Small Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, Gilt, 3s. 68 Cousins, or, The Ant Hill. Small Post 8vo, with illustrations, 3s. 60 The Rose in Bloom. Small Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, 3s. 60 Silver Pitchers. Small Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, 3s. 60 Under the Lilacs. Small Post 8vo, Cloth Extra, 5s. Miss Alcott's stories are thoroughly healthy, full of racy fun and humor, exceedingly entertaining. We can recommend The 8 Cousins. Athenaeum. Alpine Ascents and Adventures, or, Rock and Snow Sketches. By H. Schutz Wilson, of the Alpine Club. With illustrations by Whymper and Marcus Stone. Crown 8vo, Tens. 62nd edition. Andersen, Hans Christian. Fairy Tales. With illustrations in colors by EVB Royal 42, cloth, 25s. Andrews, Dr., Latin-English Lexicon. New edition. Royal 8vo, 1670 pages, cloth extra, price 18s. Animals painted by themselves. Adapted from the French of Balzac, Georges Sand, and C., with 200 illustrations by Granville. 8vo, cloth extra, gilt, 10s. 6d Art of reading aloud, in pulpit, lecture room, or private reunions, with a perfect system of economy of lung power on just principles for acquiring ease in delivery, and a thorough command of the voice. By G. Vandenhoff, M.A. Crown 8vo, cloth extra, SIXS. Asiatic Turkey, being a narrative of a journey from Bombay to the Bosphorus, embracing a ride of over 1,000 miles, from the head of the Persian Gulf to Antioch on the Mediterranean. By Grattan Giri, editor of the Times of India. 2 volumes, Crown 8vo, cloth extra, with many illustrations, and a route map. Atlantic Islands as Resorts of Health and Pleasure. By S. G. W. Benjamin, author of Contemporary Art in Europe, and C. Royal 8vo, cloth extra, with upwards of 150 illustrations, 16s. Autobiography of Sir G. Gilbert Scott, R.A., F.S.A., and C. edited by his son, G. Gilbert Scott. With an introduction by the Dean of Chichester, and a funeral sermon, preached in Westminster Abbey, by the Dean of Westminster. Also, Portrait on Steel from the Portrait of the Author by G. Richmond, R.A. 1 volume, Demi 8vo, cloth extra, 18s. Baker, Lieutenant Gen Valentine, Pasha. Sea War in Bulgaria. Barton Experiment, by the author of Helen's Babies. One's the Bayard series. Edited by the late J. Hein Friswell. Comprising pleasure books of literature produced in the choicest style as companionable volumes at home and abroad. We can hardly imagine better books for boys to read or for men to ponder over. Times. Price 2s. 6d each volume, complete in itself, flexible cloth extra, gilt edges, with silk headbands and registers. The Story of the Chevalier Bayard. By M. de Berville. De Joinville St. Louis, King of France. The Essays of Abraham Cowley, including all his prose works. Abdallah, or the Four Leaves. By Edouard Laboulaye. Table Talk and Opinions of Napoleon Bonaparte. Vathek, An Oriental Romance. By William Beckford. The King and the Commons. A selection of Cavalier and Puritan songs. Edited by Professor Morley. Words of Wellington, Maxims and Opinions of the Great Duke. Dr. Johnson's Ras Ellis, Prince of Abyssinia. With notes. Hazlitt's Round Table. With biographical introduction. The Religio Medici, Hydriotaphia, and the Letter to a Friend. By Sir Thomas Browne, Night Ballad Poetry of the Affections. By Robert Buchanan. Coleridge's Christable, and Other Imaginative Poems. With preface by Algernon C. Swinburne. Lord Chesterfield's Letters, Sentences, and Maxims. With introduction by the editor, an essay on Chesterfield by M. de Ste Beauvais, of the French Academy. Essays in Mosaic. By Thus Ballantyne. My Uncle Toby, His Story and His Friends. Edited by P. Fitzgerald. Reflections, or, Moral Sentences and Maxims of the Duc de la Rochefoucauld. Socrates, Memoirs for English Readers from Xenophon's Memorabilia. By E. D. W. Levian. Prince Albert's Golden Precepts. A case containing 12 volumes, price 31s. 60, or the case separately, price 3s. 60 Beauty and the Beast. An old tale retold, with pictures by EVB de My Fortu, cloth extra, novel binding. 10 illustrations in colors, in same style as those in the first edition of Story Without an End. 1260. Bent Hall, Reverend J. Songs of the Hebrew Poets in English Verse. Crown 8vo, Red Edges, 10s. 60 Beamer's German Copy Books. In 6 gradations at 4D. Each. Bayard, Lucien. See Adventures of a Young Naturalist, My Rambles in the New World, The Two Friends. Bickersteth's Hymnal Companion to Book of Common Prayer. The original editions, containing 403 hymns, always kept in print. Revised and Enlarged Edition, containing 550 hymns. The revised editions are entirely distinct from, and cannot be used with, the original editions. SD7A Medium 32mo, Cloth Limp 087B Ditto Roan 127C Ditto Morocco or CAF 268A Super Royal 32mo, Cloth Limp 108B Ditto Red Edges 128C Ditto Roan 228D Ditto Morocco or CAF 369A Crown 8vo, Cloth, Red Edges 309B Ditto Roan 409C Ditto Morocco or CAF 6010A Crown 8vo with introduction and notes, Red Edges 4010B Ditto Roan 5010C Ditto Morocco 7611A Penny Edition in wrapper 0111B Ditto Cloth 0211G Ditto Fancy Cloth 0411C with Prayer Book, Cloth 0911D Ditto Roan 1. 011E Ditto Morocco 2611F Ditto Persian 1612A Crown 8vo, with tunes, Cloth, Plain Edges 4012B Ditto Persian, Red Edges 6612C Ditto Limp Morocco, Gilt Edges 7613A Small 42, 4 Organ 8613B Ditto Limp Russia 21014A Tonic Solfa Edition 3614B Ditto Treble and Alto only 105B Chance only 165D Ditto 42, 4 Organ 36 The Church Mission Hymn Book per 108 4 Ditto Cloth each 04 The Hymnal Companion may now be had in special bindings for presentation. With and without the Common Prayer Book. A red line edition is ready. Lists on application. Bickersteth, Reverend E.H., M.A. The Reef and Other Parables. 1 volume, square 8vo, with numerous very beautiful engravings, 7s. 60 The Clergyman in His Home. Small post 8vo, 1s. The Master's Home Call, or, Brief Memorials of Alice Frances Bickersteth. 20,000. 32mo, Cloth Gilt, 1s. They recall in a touching manner a character of which the religious beauty has a warmth and grace almost too tender to be definite. The Guardian. The Master's Will. A funeral sermon preached on the death of Mrs. S. Gurney Buxton. Sown, 60, Cloth Gilt, 1s. The Shadow of the Rock. A selection of religious poetry. 18mo, Cloth Extra, 2s. 60 The Shadowed Home and the Light Beyond. 7th edition, Crown 8vo, Cloth Extra, 5s. Beta. The authorized version of the four Gospels, with the whole of the magnificent etchings on steel, after drawings by M. Beta, in 4 volumes, appropriately bound in cloth extra, price 3L. 3s each. Also the 4 volumes in 2, bound in the best Morocco, by Sotheby's, extra gilt edges, 18L. 18s, half Morocco, 12L. 12 Beta's illustrations of the Gospels of St. Matthew and St. John have already received here and elsewhere a full recognition of their great merits. Times. Biographies of the Great Artists, Illustrated. This series will be issued in monthly volumes in the form of handbooks. Each will be a monograph of a great artist, or a brief history of a group of artists of one school, and will contain portraits of the masters, and as many examples of their art as can be readily procured. They will be illustrated with from 16 to 20 full-page engravings, printed in the best manner, which have been contributed from several of the most important art publications of France and Germany, and will be found valuable records of the painter's works. The ornamental binding is taken from an Italian design in a book printed at Venice at the end of the 15th century, and the inside lining from a pattern of old Italian lace. The price of the volumes is 3s. Titian, Rubens, Velázquez, Rembrandt, Leonardo, Tintoret and Veronese, Raphael, Turner, Hogarth, Van Dyck and Hals, The Little Masters, Michelangelo, Holbein, Black, W.M., 3 feathers. Small post 8vo, cloth extra, SIXS. Lady Silverdale's Sweetheart, and Other Stories. 1 volume, small post 8vo, SIXS. Kilmeny, a novel. Small post 8vo, cloth, SIXS. In silk attire. 3rd edition, small post 8vo, SIXS. A Daughter of Hate. 11th edition, small post 8vo, SIXS. Blackmore, R.D. Lorna Doone. 10th edition, CR8vo, SIXS. The reader at times holds his breath, so graphically yet so simply does John Ridd tell his tale. Saturday Review. Alice Lorraine. 1 volume, small post 8vo, 6th edition, SIXS. Clara Vaughan. Revised edition, SIXS. Craddock Noel. New edition, SIXS. Cripps the Carrier. 3rd edition, small post 8vo, SIXS. Mary Annerly. 3 volumes, 31s. 6d in the press. Blossoms from the King's Garden, Sermons for Children. By the Reverend C. Bosanquet. 2nd edition, small post 8vo, cloth extra, SIXS. Blue Banner, The Adventures of a Mussulman, a Christian, and a Pagan, in the time of the Crusades and Mongol conquest. Translated from the French of Leon Caon. With 76 wood engravings. Square Imperial 16mo, cloth extra, 7s. 6d Book of English Elegies. By W. F. March Phillips. Small post 8vo, cloth extra, 5s. The aim of the editor of this selection has been to collect in a popular form the best and most representative elegiac poems which have been written in the English tongue. Book of the Play. By Dutton Cook. 2 volumes, Crown 8vo, 24s. Border Tales Round a Campfire in the Rocky Mountains. By the Reverend E. B. Tuttle, Army Chaplain, USA. With 2 illustrations by Phys. Crown 8vo, 5s. Brave Men in Action. By S. J. McEnna. Crown 8vo, 480 pages, cloth, 10s. 6d Brazil and the Brazilians. By J. C. Fletcher and D. P. Kidder. 9th edition, illustrated, 8vo, 21s. Bryant, W. C., assisted by S. H. Gay, A Popular History of the United States. About 4 volumes, to be profusely illustrated with engravings on steel and wood, after designs by the best artists. Volume I, Super Royal 8vo, cloth extra, gilt, 42s, is ready. Burnaby, Captain, C. On horseback. Butler, W.F. The Great Lone Land, an account of the Red River Expedition, 1869-70. With illustrations and map. 5th and cheaper edition, Crown 8vo, cloth extra, 7s. 60. The Wild Northland, the story of a winter journey with dogs across northern North America. Demi 8vo, cloth, with numerous woodcuts and a map, 4th edition, 18s. CR 8vo, 7s. 60. Akimfu, the history of a failure. Demi 8vo, cloth, 2nd edition, 16s. Also, in Crown 8vo, 7s. 60. By Land and Ocean, or, The Journal and Letters of a Tour Round the World by a Young Girl Alone. Crown 8vo, cloth, 7s. 60. Cadogan, Lady A. Illustrated Games of Patience. 24 diagrams in colors, with descriptive text. Foolscap 4-2, cloth extra, gilt edges, 3rd edition, 12s. 60. Canada under the administration of Lord Dufferin. By G. Stewart, June, author of Evenings in the Library, and C. Cloth Gilt, 8vo, 15s. Carbon Process, a Manual of C. Leesgang. Ceramic Art. C. Jacques Mart. Changed Cross, The, and Other Religious Poems. 16. Mo, 2s. 60. Chatty Letters from the East and West. By A. H. Wiley. Small 4-2, 12s. 60. Child of the Cavern, The, or, Strange Doings Underground. By Jules Verne. Translated by W. H. G. Kingston, author of Snowshoes and Canoes, Peter the Whaler, The Three Midshipmen, and C. Numerous illustrations. Square Crown 8vo, cloth extra, gilt edges, 7s. 60. Child's Play, with 16 colored drawings by EVB printed on thick paper, with tints, 7s. The New